You're listening to the Broken Havoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the frickin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. What's up, everybody? It is Broken Havoc here, right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from April 20th, 2022. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Dynamite review. Of course, the big story, that being All Elite Wrestling and New Japan Pro Wrestling announced a joint pay-per-view called Forbidden Door that will be coming to us this June at the United Center. I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. We got a lot of other stuff to talk about. CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes, Kyle O'Reilly versus Jungleboy in a qualifying match for the Owen Hart tournament. Of course, Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo in a coffin match. We got a lot of things to talk about right here on the Dynamite review. But before I get on with the Dynamite review, make sure to like and subscribe to the Broken Havoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Also, the Broken Havoc podcast is now available on audio platforms, that being Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts. If you guys want to check out the Broken Havoc podcast and watch full-length episodes of the podcast on audio platforms, it's available on those as listed. But before I get on with the AEW Dynamite review, I just want to talk about how I haven't been uploading for the past couple of days. The last video that I uploaded right here on the channel was actually last Saturday with the Battle of the Belts review. I haven't been uploading. I actually was planning on doing a SmackDown and Rampage review because I did watch the shows. I actually haven't finished watching Rampage yet. I did not even watch the Hangman versus Adam Cole match, which is shame on me. I didn't even watch the match yet, so I have to go on and watch the match. But I did watch Raw as well, but I did not upload a Raw review for that either. I'm currently busy with a lot of school stuff because right now it's nearing the end of the semester, so really I have to get my A game as well. So I had to put number one focus on school first and then the channel. But hopefully I can come to you guys maybe with the Raw review tomorrow. I will have to wait and see, but my apologies. I haven't been uploading for the past couple of days, mainly because my priorities have shifted, and rightfully so, because you got to put school first, right? But I've been extremely busy on that. But yeah, man, hopefully I'll be back fully coming to you guys with the Dynamite, SmackDown, Rampage, pay-per-view reviews, Raw reviews, all that type of stuff. But yeah, man, let's get on with the Dynamite review. But before we get on with the Dynamite review, now granted, this is a part of the Dynamite review, but Tony Khan's big announcement. A lot of people are always saying, oh my God, Tony Khan always has a big announcement just to pop a rating. But this announcement is huge. The last announcement that Tony Khan made was that he purchased Ring of Honor. And even if you do not watch Ring of Honor, it is still a big deal. And this announcement that Tony Khan made is a big deal as well. Not for AEW, but for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Yes, it is official. New Japan Pro Wrestling and All Elite Wrestling are presenting Forbidden Door that will be taking place June 26th, Sunday, June 26th, at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Overall thoughts on this, I'm really excited. And this is coming from somebody that I do not follow New Japan. I do not follow the current product. I've never followed New Japan Pro Wrestling before. But I do know a couple of the wrestlers there. You got your Kazuchika Okadas, you got your Tetsuya Naitos, your Kota Ibushi's. I believe Kota Ibushi's currently out. I believe Okada is also the current champion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you got Guerrillas of Destiny. You got a lot of the stuff. You got Switchblade Jay White. You had a couple appearances from New Japan Pro wrestlers throughout AEW TV. I mean, Switchblade Jay White was on AEW Rampage a couple of weeks ago as well. But I'm not really that big of a follower of New Japan, but I still think this is a big deal. Why is that a big deal? Number one, it's happening at the United Center. And everybody expected that the announcement was going to be a joint show between New Japan and AEW, and it makes perfect sense. But a lot of people are saying that, this does not grow their audience. It's actually leaning towards, oh my God, they're only catering to the hardcore audience. And, to an extent, you can say that, oh my God, they're only catering to the hardcores, and to an extent, you can say they're not growing their audience. But if you look at WWE, I mean, they're not growing their audience either. I mean, they recently just drew a 1.6. They dropped a lot. this week on Raw. So if you're saying that the WWE is growing their audience, I don't know what to tell you. But overall, this is still a big deal. Why? Number one, first off, if they're catering to the hardcore audience, that means they know their audience. And also, if they're catering to the hardcore audience, 100% this show is definitely going to sell out. Well, definitely. This would be the second time that AEW actually sold out the United Center. Of course, the first time that they sold out the United Center was CM Punk's arrival, and they did not even announce CM Punk was going to be on the show. Now, granted, the rumors were absolutely heavy, but still, he still showed up at the show, and it paid off tremendously for them. But AEW New Japan, a lot of fans have been wanting this for ever since AEW started. And this is, look, I do not follow New Japan. I do not follow the current product. I never followed New Japan, and I do not plan on following New Japan, hopefully. But this could be the catalyst of me starting to follow New Japan. And one of the things I always said, and I stated this last year on my All Out review, I did not know who the hell Minoru Suzuki was when he came out. I'm being 100% honest with you guys. I have no idea. I had no idea who the hell Minoru Suzuki was. But one of the things that I really love about the Forbidden Door is that it introduces you to a lot of talents that you haven't seen before. A lot of wrestlers that you haven't seen before, guys like Minoru Suzuki. Now, granted, some of those wrestlers you may know, like your Okadas. And I believe CM Punk and Okada did have some sort of Twitter back and forth. Not Twitter back and forth, but Okada actually stated in the Sports Illustrated interview that one of the wrestlers that he would actually love to face is CM Punk. And CM Punk even tweeted it on Twitter that, hey, I got the date, the time, place, all that stuff. He even put the address for the United Center. So since this show is going to be taking place at the United Center, it makes total sense for that to happen. But overall, as someone who does not follow New Japan, this could be the catalyst of maybe I can give New Japan a shot. I'm going to give this a shot. Well, I'm going to say I'm going to give New Japan a shot, just like I gave Ring of Honor a shot, because I did watch Supercard of Honor, and I absolutely enjoyed what I watched on the show. And honestly, this is a great thing for the wrestling industry itself. Even if you do not watch New Japan, this is still a great thing for the wrestling industry itself, because everybody is working together. And that is the beauty of it. New Japan and AEW worked together. I believe when AEW first started, they were not really on good terms, but I believe New Japan did change management during the pandemic, and that kind of changed things. And now New Japan is in good terms with AEW, and that's great to see. And now you got, a lot of people are talking about the possible dream matches scenarios. One of the dream matches I actually want to see is definitely Bryan Danielson versus Kota Ibushi. I think that'd be fucking amazing. Kota Ibushi is one of those New Japan wrestlers that I have seen wrestle, and honestly, he's fantastic. But I believe he's currently injured, and so I don't think he's going to be wrestling. Same thing as Omega. A lot of people are even talking about Omega as well. What the hell is he going to do? Because, he's still currently on the injured list as well. So what is Kenny Omega going to do? We'll have to wait and see. But overall, this is still an exciting thing. I'm 100% excited. I'm definitely buying this freaking pay-per-view. 100%. Not only that, if you're not a New Japan fan, that's okay. A lot of people say, oh, this is not really a big deal for the people that do not follow New Japan. But it's a big deal for me, mainly because of the fact that I watch AEW. And even if you follow one of the promotions, you're still going to watch the pay-per-view nonetheless. I'm going to watch this freaking pay-per-view regardless, man. I'm excited to see what goes down. And honestly, the way the announcement played out, 100%, I'm excited for it. I mean, you had Adam Cole come in, right? So Tony Khan came out, and he was going to make the announcement. He brought out the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and they were about to make the announcement, but Adam Cole was like, no, I'm going to make this announcement because I'm one of the best wrestlers in the world, and I'm going to make the announcement. So Adam Cole was the one that made the announcement and stated that, New Japan and AEW are going to have a pay-per-view called Forbidden Door. And then all of a sudden, after that, Switchblade Jay White comes out. So Switchblade Jay White comes out, and Jay White has been doing a lot of things, especially with the Bullet Club. Now, the Bullet Club has been running rampant on Impact Wrestling as far as I'm concerned. I've seen a couple of highlights of Impact Wrestling. I do not watch Impact Wrestling. I don't watch a lot of Impact Wrestling, to be quite honest with you. Honestly, who the hell watches Impact Wrestling? But honestly, a lot of interesting things are actually happening in Impact Wrestling with the whole Bullet Club thing. And Bullet Club has been running rampant on Impact Wrestling. I believe the members right there on Impact is Switchblade Jay White, Chris Bay, I believe, is a current member, and also the Good Brothers. I mean, the Good Brothers are OG Bullet Club members. But Jay White came out on Dynamite and actually stated that, this is going to be the show for the Undisputed Elite and the Bullet Club. Where does that lead to? A lot of people are saying, this could possibly be like a civil war between both factions. That'd be huge, because keep in mind, the Undisputed Elite, or I should say Adam Cole himself, was a member of Bullet Club. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, they were not members of Bullet Club, but you had the Young Bucks, of course, were members of Bullet Club. Omega, of course, he's a former leader of Bullet Club because he basically betrayed AJ Styles when AJ Styles was leaving to go to the WWE. But that's a lot of other stuff for another time. But where does this lead to? I mean, all the dream match possibilities that AEW and New Japan have together is insane. You know, you got Punk versus Okada. You can have Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jon Moxley, which is, I believe, they were supposed to have a match at some New Japan show. I believe they're going to currently have a match at a future New Japan show. I do not know which show that is. My apologies right there. But honestly, though, it wouldn't be surprising if they had booked that show for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view, because that is a big deal. What does Jericho have to do with this? Because Jericho plays a huge part in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, because Jericho, I mean, first off, he wrestled in Japan back in the 90s. Not only that, he's been wrestling in the late 2010s. Of course, he wrestled Omega, he wrestled Naito, he wrestled Tanahashi as the AEW World Champion, actually bringing the belt to Wrestle Kingdom. So there's a lot of possibilities right there in what could happen. So you got the Jericho Appreciation Society, you got the Blackpool Combat Club, you got Chaos down in Japan, you got Bullet Club, Undisputed Elite. The possibilities are absolutely endless. And look, it's okay if you do not follow the New Japan product, but at the end of the day, I follow AEW. But watching, you know, a lot of wrestlers that I probably do not know face off against AEW wrestlers, because another thing you got to keep in mind is people need to realize, you know, yes, it's not catering to the casual fans, but it's catering to the fans that do follow AEW. It's catering to the fans that do follow New Japan. Not only that, when it comes to New Japan, you know, people need to realize that if you're catering to those fans, that means you know your audience. And AEW 100% knows their audience. They listen, for the most part, they always listen to the fans. And honestly, this is basically a gift to a lot of the fans. And honestly, I'm 100% excited for this pay-per-view. So it's going to be absolutely huge. I mean, you know, we got a lot of announcements. You know, Tony Khan, yes, whatever you can say about Tony Khan, oh, he's a mark. But at the end of the day, if it wasn't for Tony Khan, the wrestling business would be in the shits. Let's be 100% real here. If it wasn't for Tony Khan, the wrestling business would be in the shits. And look, this could possibly be the catalyst of me starting to follow New Japan. I do not know, but again, I'm excited for this pay-per-view. At the end of the day, it's a love letter to professional wrestling. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's, you know, wrestling, you know, it's a good thing. And, you know, honestly, having promotions work together as what AEW has been doing for the past year, I should say, is a great thing to see. And I've been enjoying. I'm enjoying everything that I'm seeing. All right, let's get on to the actual Dynamite show. Overall, I thought Dynamite was a great show. Of course, we have our first teaser. I shouldn't even really say our first teaser of Hangman Page and CM Punk, but of course, CM Punk for the past couple of weeks on Dynamite has been teasing that he is targeting the World Championship. But, of course, he is the number one in the rankings. And this week, CM Punk faced off against Dustin Rhodes. It was a basic match, but it was a really good opener. I enjoyed the opener. It was a fun little match. Dustin was getting killed from his knee, man. Like, Punk throughout the entire match was targeting his knee. But overall, I absolutely enjoyed the match. Really, the best thing to take away from this match was the ending. The ending, definitely having Hangman Page come out and, you know, basically facing off against CM Punk, but then CM Punk walks off. I mean, damn. I mean, 100% we're getting CM Punk versus Hangman Page at Double or Nothing, and guaranteed CM Punk is going to win the World Championship. But let's discuss the match. Both shake hands, even though, you can easily say it's the Code of Honor, but it's really not. Okay, it's an AEW match. But both shake hands because they're both baby faces, of course. Both lock up. We get a side headlock and a shoulder tackle by Dustin Rhodes. We get an arm drag by Dustin. We get a hip toss by Punk. Both then face off. We get a side headlock takeover by Punk. Punk then works on the knees of Dustin. Then he tries to apply the bow and arrow stretch, but then later Dustin runs to the outside. At this point, Dustin is selling his knee. Punk then goes to the outside, but then Dustin gets taken to the outside. We get a kick by Dustin onto the arm of CM Punk. But then Punk targets the left knee of Dustin. He continues to work on the left knee of Dustin for the majority of the middle of the match. Once we're back from commercial break, Dustin is on the apron. Punk is on the outside, and we get a couple of kicks by Dustin down on the apron. Punk then goes to the apron. Dustin then pushes him to the post, then takes him down onto the apron. Both are in the ring. Both then exchange shots. We get a kick by Punk, and then we get a couple of chops by Dustin. We get a backdrop by Dustin after that. We get a series of clotheslines by Dustin. We get repeated rights by Dustin. We get a code red by Dustin after that. We get a cover and a near fall. Punk then tries to go for the GTS, and then Dustin escapes. He hits a right hand, and then he hits a power slam. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a kick by Punk, and we get a chop block by Punk on Dustin. Then Punk goes for the Ric Flair special move right here, the figure 4. Woo! Oh my God, my microphone is so off. But Punk applies the figure 4. And then Dustin shoulder tackle. Dustin shoulders are down. I was about to say a shoulder tackle, but no. His shoulders were down for a pinfall attempt, but we get a near fall. His shoulders down were down again, and we get a near fall. Both Dustin and Punk exchange rights, and they slap each other. Then after that, Dustin tries to reverse the figure 4, and Dustin finally reverses it. But then Punk goes down to the bottom rope. Punk then goes to the outside, and then he tries to go for a springboard lariat, but then falls into a right by Dustin. And then Dustin proceeds to hit the crossroads and then transitions that into a pile driver. We get a cover and a near fall. Dustin then goes for repeated rights. Punk then goes for a kick. He gets it fully. He couldn't get it fully, I should say. He picks up Dustin, but then Dustin goes for the sunset flip. But as soon as Dustin Rhodes try to go for the sunset flip, what happens? Punk actually manages to catch Dustin and get his shoulders down for the win. CM Punk beats Dustin Rhodes in what I thought was a great opening match for Dynamite, to be quite honest with you. Dynamite, one of my favorite things, and I constantly say this on my Dynamite reviews every week, one of my favorite things that I like about AEW Dynamite is that they always start off really hot with a good match, even if it's if it's like a fast-paced match or it's a really good technical wrestling match, and this was definitely the case. Overall, I enjoyed the match for what it was. Dustin 100% still has it. The guy is phenomenal, and CM Punk, the guy's the best in the world, man. So what happens? So after that, both shake hands, and then Punk, as soon as he's going to the apron, Hangman Page comes out. So Hangman Page comes out, and he has his title, of course, because he is the AEW World Champion. Comes out, both face off, and when I told you I marked off, I was like, I marked out for this, man. This was awesome. I'm definitely excited for Hangman Page versus CM Punk. That is most likely 100% happening at Double or Nothing. It's the most logical match to happen at Double or Nothing. Originally, actually, a couple of months ago, I thought it was going to be MJF versus Hangman Page, but right now they're holding that off because currently MJF is feuding with Wardlow, which makes a lot of sense. But, both face off and then CM Punk leaves. So where does this lead to? Again, man, it makes total sense. CM Punk is 100% going to win the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing, and it's going to be a big, big, big deal. All right. Earlier today, or I should say earlier on before the show even started, Wardlow came in. Mark Sterling, of course, that being the heel attorney for a lot of the heels in AEW. He comes in, gives him handcuffs, and says that MJF can be pig, and then stops, and then Wardlow calls him oink, oink, bitch, which is hilarious. So MJF, of course, pulling a lot of these tactics on Wardlow to make his life a living hell, considering the fact that in kayfabe, Wardlow is still under contract with MJF. All right, we got the Blackpool Combat Club representing the Blackpool Combat Club right here, man. I bought the shirt a couple weeks ago on Shop AEW. Same with the FTR and a Samoa Joe shirt. I paid like $70-something for that, which is ridiculous, but it was part of the spring. It was part of the spring fling sale that they had. But representing the Blackpool Combat Club right here, man. Those guys are like by far the best thing. One of the best things on AEW TV right now. Of course, that being Wheeler Yuta, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson taking on Lee Moriarty, Brock Anderson, and Dante Martin, which is kind of weird. Dante Martin seeing him alone, considering the fact that his brother recently came back. But overall, the only reason why this match is happening, or happened, I should say, is because of the fact that they're trying to make the Blackpool Combat Club look strong, and strong that they did. They 100%, looked amazing in this match. A brawl instantly breaks loose. Yuta applies a bow and arrow stretch on Dante Martin. Dante Martin was phenomenal. And almost every single match that Dante Martin is in, this guy's insane. We got a beautiful enziguri by Dante. Danielson then makes the tag. He works on Dante into the corner. We had a couple of chops by Danielson. We had a couple of chops and kicks combinations, of course, in the corner. We got a running knee by Danielson in the corner. We get a high kick by Dante. Dante then goes for a drop kick, but then Moxley tags in. He runs into a drop kick. Anderson then makes the tag. We got a clothesline by Brock. He runs into the corner. Mox then hits a German. Once we're back from commercial break, Mox is in control over Brock Anderson. We get a couple of right hands by Mox, but then Mox runs into a spine buster. Then Danielson tags in. Lee Moriarty tags in, which the guy is amazing. We get a couple of high boots by Lee Moriarty. Yuta then on the outside gets kicked. with the boot. We get a springboard clothesline by Lee Moriarty. We get a couple of knees by Lee. We get a slap. We get a bunch of slaps by Danielson and Lee, and then we get a couple of uppercuts by Danielson. We get a back suplex by Lee. We get a cover engineer fall. He wants to go for the Border City stretch, but then Danielson escapes and hits a shoulder capture suplex. Then after that, Dante Martin tags in. Moxley then tags in. Dante goes extremely crazy. He does a series of spots, which I couldn't even keep up on my notes, man. Like, as soon as Dante was going for those series of spots, it was over. I was like, bruh, I can't even keep up with my notes. But he goes for a springboard, but fails, and he falls into the Bulldog choke. So Dante tried to go for a springboard, but then actually falls into a Bulldog choke by Mox. Danielson comes in. Then after that, the Blackpool Combat Club kicks everybody's head in all at once. You know, Moxley's like taking out Dante Martin. Wheeler and Danielson go on the attack on Anderson and Lee Moriarty, and they basically kicked everybody's head in, kicked and struck everybody's head in all at once, which that was an amazing visual, by the way. And Moxley goes for the paradigm. I believe he hit the paradigm shift. Correct me if I'm wrong. I missed that portion. I missed that spot right there. But we get a cover, and the BCC win the match. Overall thoughts. This is a fantastic match. I enjoyed the match. Of course, this match was made for the Blackpool Combat Club to look strong, and again, they looked absolutely unstoppable. And I tweeted even right after the match ended, the BCC are absolutely unstoppable. But great match. I enjoyed it, and it was awesome. The Elite are backstage. Of course, they're all pissed off that they lost their matches. Of course, Adam Cole lost his match with Hangman Page. The Young Bucks lost their match against FTR, which was a fantastic match. You know, it's crazy to say, like, FTR is by far the best tag team in the world because they had two, like, match of the year caliber back-to-back matches. Like, they of course wrestled the Briscoes at Supercard of Honor, and they a couple of days later on Dynamite, they wrestled the Young Bucks. I mean, that's insane. But Kyle wants everybody to get together and just basically motivates everybody and says next week they will do an Undisputed Elite Open Challenge 6-man tag. I believe it was a 6-man tag. I think he said it was an 8-man or a 6-man. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they're going to do an open challenge next week. Who are they going to be facing? We do not know. That is why it's called an open challenge. We got Wardlow versus Butcher. Of course, MJF is making the life of Wardlow a living hell because that's what heels do. That's what MJF does. He makes people's lives a living hell. So we got Wardlow versus Butcher. Wardlow then comes out handcuffed with no music. MJF and Sean Spears are up on the skybox. And so the match starts. Both no-sell their shoulder tackles. Both exchange shots. We got a couple of shoulder tackles by Wardlow. Butcher then goes on the outside. He takes out a chair, and then he sends Wardlow to the guardrail. Both fight it out, and on the outside, Butcher then sends Wardlow onto the apron. Then they hit a backdrop. Both are in the ring. We get a clothesline by Butcher, and then he hits a powerbomb on Wardlow. Then Wardlow kicks out at one, but then Wardlow later hits the powerbomb symphony. That being 4 power bombs, I might add, and we get a cover, and Wardlow wins the match. So at this point, MJF is pissed off because he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do to keep this man down? So apparently next week he's going to be facing Lance Archer, and the backstage segment played out really weird. So MJF was like in a way threatening Alex Marvez, and he was really pissed off. And what happens? Jake Roberts comes in, and then MJF pays Jake Roberts the amount of money that he paid him. And then Lance Archer comes in and says everybody does, and tries to pull off the camera, but he doesn't do it, which is kind of cringeworthy, by the way. But we got Wardlow versus Lance Archer next week on Dynamite. All right. Eddie Kingston is backstage and challenges Daniel Garcia on Rampage this Friday, and he bans the Jericho Appreciation Society and also Santana Energy, so it's going to be a legit one-on-one match. All right. We got Jungle Boy versus Kyle O'Reilly in a qualifying match for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. This was a good match. There was a lot of technical wrestling involved. Of course, Kyle O'Reilly is known for his strikes, and same thing as Jungle Boy. But this, as much as I enjoyed the match, I was kind of, the finish was kind of questionable to me. That being, Kyle O'Reilly actually got the win instead of Jungle Boy, and I'm like, wait, Jungle Boy is the current one half of the AEW World Tag Team Champions with Luchasaurus, and Jungle Boy actually lost. I actually thought that Jungle Boy was actually going to go over because, if you're doing a tournament, I think it would be really good if you built the foundation and Jungle Boy was going to be one of the MVPs of this tournament. But that is actually not the case. Kyle O'Reilly actually got the win, which was really shocking to me. But I'll talk about that later on in the show. But both lock up. We get a waist lock by Kyle O'Reilly. Jungle Boy and Kyle then go at it technically. We get an overhand chop by Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then goes for a springboard, but then gets caught into a cross arm breaker, but escapes. Kyle at this point is in control. We get a drop kick by Jungle Boy. We get another chop by Jungle Boy. And then Kyle O'Reilly goes for a hammerlock. Kyle then goes for the takedown. We get a sunset flip by Jungle Boy. We get a cover and a near fall. We get a kick by Jungle Boy, but later gets caught into a high kick. Then we get a butterfly suplex twice by Kyle O'Reilly, but then Kyle O'Reilly takes him down. Once we're back from commercial break, Kyle goes for a kick to the knee of Jungle Boy. We get an uppercut by Jungle Boy. Kyle then gets taken to the outside when he tries to go for a knee strike. Then Jungle Boy goes for the suicide dive. Kyle O'Reilly then goes to the guardrail, and then Jungle Boy hits a comebacker lariat. We got a dragon screw by Kyle O'Reilly on Jungle Boy through the ropes. We get a DDT by Jungle Boy, and then he applies the submission, but then Kyle O'Reilly picks up Jungle Boy and has I think it was a guillotine that Jungle Boy had locked in. But then Kyle O'Reilly hits an exploder suplex. We get a knee to the back of Kyle O'Reilly. Jungle Boy then fires back with the clothesline, and both get taken down. We get a kick by Kyle O'Reilly, and then he runs into Jungle Boy, throwing him into the corner. We get a knee by Kyle. Kyle and Jungle Boy then goes to the top. Then Kyle applies a wrist lock, but then Jungle Boy escapes. Then Kyle O'Reilly gouges the eyes of Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then goes for repeated rights. Then we get a couple of kicks and stomps by Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then goes for a sliding drop kick. But then Jungle Boy wants to apply the snare trap, but instead misses the sliding lariat. So instead of going for the snare trap, he actually tried to go for the sliding lariat, but Kyle O'Reilly ducked, and he goes for a couple of kicks. We get a leg sweep countered by Jungle Boy. We get a roll up by Jungle Boy into near fall. Then Kyle applies an ankle lock. Jungle Boy then transitions it into a snare trap, which was insane, by the way. So Kyle applies an ankle lock, and then Jungle Boy escapes and he applies a snare trap submission. Kyle goes to the bottom rope. Jungle Boy then goes to the top, but then Kyle hits a kick to the ankle. Kyle then goes to the top. Then he hits a superplex, and then we get an instant roll-up by Jungle Boy, and we get a near fall. But then Kyle proceeds to hit a brainbuster after that. Kyle goes to the top, and then he drops the knee. We get a cover, 1, 2, 3, and Kyle O'Reilly actually gets the win. Overall thoughts, man. Again, this was a good match, but the finish was really weird, and the outcome of the match was really weird. I mean, again, I expected Jungle Boy to actually win this match, but that is not the case. So Kyle O'Reilly advances, and he's going to be a part of the Owen Hart tournament. Where is this going to lead to? I have absolutely no idea. I mean, we got Adam Cole facing Ishii from New Japan this Friday on Rampage, which actually happened. I believe Ishii did wrestle a match on AEW TV. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe he was teaming up with Rocky Romero. I completely forgot, but I believe Ishii wrestled before in AEW. But Adam Cole does face Ishii on Rampage. But Kyle O'Reilly, getting the win is really weird to me, mainly because of the fact that Jungle Boy. I mean, a lot of people view Jungle Boy as one of the pillars of AEW, and he actually lost to Kyle O'Reilly in a qualifying match for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So Jungle Boy is not going to be a part of the tournament, which is really weird to me. I mean, like, out of all people that you would want to be a part of this tournament, I mean, Jungle Boy would be one of the first people that would come to mind, in my opinion, but that's not going to be the case. But, where does this lead to? So after that, Christian Cage and Jungle Boy just walked up the ramp and stuff. Could this be the possibility of, Christian Cage possibly turning heel on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus? We'll have to wait and see, man. I mean, there's a lot of questions. I mean, a lot of people have been saying, Christian Cage is possibly going to turn heel. Maybe this is going to be one of the catalysts. We'll have to wait and see. But again, very weird finish. So we'll have to see where this goes. Hook. I completely forgot about Hook. Hook makes his Dynamite debut on Dynamite. So Hook has been tearing it up for a couple of weeks on Rampage for the past couple of months, and rightfully so, man. One of the things I really enjoy about Rampage is the fact that, they have their own unique segments and their own unique wrestlers, even though they do not have a split roster. So, for example, one of the things that you can see on AEW TV, or I should say on Rampage, is Hook. And now Hook finally makes his AEW debut, and he's going up against a jobber known as Anthony Henry. I believe he was wrestling on Dark. I do not follow Dark or Dark Elevation. That's just me. But Hook definitely 100% on the offense, rightfully so. I mean, this match ended quickly. We get an ankle pick by Hook. Hook then goes for a couple of body shots in the corner. We get an overhand throw by Hook. We get a sliding lariat to the back of the head of Henry. Then he wants to apply the red rum, but then Danhausen comes in out of nowhere. And if you guys have been following Rampage, Danhausen actually has been wanting to curse Hook for a while now. But what happens is basically, every time when Danhausen tries to curse Hook, Hook just no-sells it and just walks off. So he just walks off because Hook is that damn cool, as I've stated earlier in my Rampage reviews. But Danhausen tries to curse him, but then what happens? Hook applies the red rum, and Hook wins the match. And then at this point, Danhausen is absolutely pissed off that he couldn't curse Hook again. And then so Danhausen comes in, and he does his Danhausen voice, and he challenges Hook to a fight because Hook... I'm going to beat Hook's ass. Sorry, Danhausen. But, Danhausen actually, wants to fight Hook. But then Hook leaves and bumps on the shoulder of Danhausen. So could this possibly be a catalyst of, them having a match? We'll have to wait and see because Danhausen does wrestle. But we'll have to wait and see in the near future on what the hell they're going to be doing. But that was really entertaining. A lot of people always say, WWE does dumb shit. But I'm not going to lie. Like, R-Truth is hilarious. Now, the 24/7 shit is getting kind of stale. But R-Truth is just R-Truth, and he's the best. And that's the same goes with Danhausen. I'm a fan of Danhausen. Danhausen's just flat out awesome. I love Danhausen. And I love the chemistry that Hook and Danhausen also have. We get a backstage interview with Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, of course, both former members of SCU. That being SoCal Uncensored. SCU. Okay. Then he thanks Kazarian, and he says he needs one more favor. He's going to challenge Sammy and get the TNT Championship back and says that he's always had his back, and he always will. So we get a segment with the TNT Champion, the new TNT Champion, Sammy Guevara, and Ty Conti. Now, if you guys haven't watched Battle of the Belts, which, by the way, my Battle of the Belts review I uploaded this past Saturday is up on the channel. So if you guys haven't checked out the Battle of the Belts review, check it out. But Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti have an in-ring segment. And if you guys haven't watched Battle of the Belts, Sammy Guevara faced Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship, and Sammy Guevara won. That which makes Sammy Guevara a 3-time TNT champion, which had a lot of people pissed off. But you got to understand that ever since the whole relationship between Ty Conti and Sammy Guevara has been put on television, fans have started, and I mean this wholeheartedly, fans have started to not take very much of a liking of Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti to the point, and I'm an AEW fan, but I'll gladly admit this because I think it's stupid. Gladly, they freaking edited the boos out of Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti, which you shouldn't do. Rule number 1 when it comes to doing shit like that, do not do shit like that, which I don't even know what the fuck I said. But, they shouldn't do that, but they definitely learned their lesson. And last week at Battle of the Belts, you had Sammy Guevara. Now, granted, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page and Dan Lambert were doing a lot of heel tactics during the match, but Sammy Guevara won via heel tactics. I believe he gave Scorpio Sky a low blow. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he hit a low blow and basically won the match. So that was a lot of heel tactics. And, Sammy Guevara did not get a good reaction. He got somewhat of a mixed reaction, but you definitely did hear those boos. So this whole segment with Sammy Guevara 100% was definitely a heel promo. Now, is this actually going to turn him heel? I definitely do think so. And I think Sammy Guevara, this incarnation of Sammy Guevara 100% should be a heel. And the fact that the AEW fans do not like this, 100% capitalize on it. Capitalize on the heel turn of Sammy Guevara. So Sammy Guevara, he is getting booed out of the building and says that he loves this as TNT. He loves the fact that he has been TNT champion for a 3rd time. And the fact that he is with Ty Conti, the love of his life. And he loves her, and the fans cheer for them. And he will give them everything because they deserve it. As far as the rest of the fans that completely turned their back on him, why? Is it because his girlfriend is hotter than him? And then all of a sudden, Scorpio Sky comes in, cuts a promo, and says that, screw you, all that stuff. He says, screw you, all that crap. Dan Lambert gets the mic and talks about how his grandfather, always talked about how, the young is always, wasted every time when they get successful. He cuts this really good promo, which I will not repeat here, mainly because of the fact that I just have a brief summary of what's going on. But one thing I will say is Dan Lambert and the Men of the Year have gotten a huge babyface reaction. I'm not going to lie, man. You know, a lot of fans do not like Dan Lambert for the shit that he says, but like a lot of the shit that Dan Lambert says on AEW TV, can't lie. I mean, some of the stuff is true. Some of the stuff that Dan Lambert says is true, and the fact that Sammy Guevara is now a heel and the roles are reversed, and now, you know, Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Dan Lambert are now baby faces. I ain't gonna lie. The men of the year, they make pretty good baby faces because what they have been doing is that throughout the entirety of Sammy Guevara, you know, ever since they brought in Ty Conti and all that stuff, I mean, Ethan Page has been telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? But Dan Lambert wants a match, and then Sammy Guevara will give him a rematch next week. I believe it's a ladder match for the TNT Championship if they get a mixed tag team match. So it was kind of confusing on what he's saying. Like they want a rematch, but if they get the rematch, they should get a mixed tag team match. So I believe the ladder match between Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page will happen next week on Dynamite, but we'll have to wait and see. I believe it's already official. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's already official. But we got Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky for the TNT Championship in a ladder match, which would be the second ladder match for the TNT Championship in a couple months. I mean, the last ladder match we had, of course, was Cody Rhodes' last match before jumping ship to the WWE against Sammy Guevara at AEW's Dynamite's Beach Break event, which was fantastic. But overall, I'm definitely excited for that match. And honestly, you know, Sammy Guevara really needs to embrace that heel heat that he's getting because AEW fans ain't taking a liking about the shit that he's doing with Ty Conti. I'm telling you that right now. All right, we got a mini video package of the House of Black. You know, one of the things, the House of Black, man, you know, they haven't been on television. You know, they have been on television, but they are in the case. It's the case of like small video packages, which I honestly do not really care about. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, as much as I love AEW Dynamite so much, and it's definitely 100% the best wrestling show of the entire week, because there's so much wrestling on television now, which is a good thing in my opinion. One of the things that honestly I do not like about Dynamite is that the fact that they try to cram so much stuff all in at once. Like, you know, we go to commercial break and we see a mini video package that like happens, that goes on for like less than 30 seconds. And then, you know, they try to cram too much stuff into television, and sometimes you got to let things flow, in my opinion. But overall, you know, the House of Black, I mean, I'm not really interested as much in them as I was before, mainly because of the fact that spot has taken to guys like FTR, CM Punk, and the Blackpool Combat Club. That's just me. We got a video package of Serena Deeb versus Hikaru Shida, which they will fight next week in Philadelphia because Dynamite is going to be in Philadelphia, the home of ECW, and they're going to be wrestling in a Philly street fight, so that's definitely exciting to see. But, like, let's be honest, how many freaking times have we seen Serena Deeb versus Shida? I mean, the feud has been great, but, like, how many times have we seen that match? All right. We got our main event, that being Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo in a coffin match. This is the second ever coffin match that has taken place on AEW Dynamite. The last coffin match that happened, I believe, was last summer on Dynamite, where Darby Allin took on Ethan Page. But overall, this was a great match. A lot of insane moments happened. There was a lot of brawling in the crowd. Sting was involved, and, you know, whenever Sting gets involved, holy shit gets real. But Blade tries to make the interference. Of course, Butcher's not there because of the fact that he lost to Wardlow. But Darby hits the skateboard on Andrade. Mark Quinn then comes in and attacks Darby Allin. We get a couple of kicks by Andrade. Andrade then tries to open the coffin. But when he tries to open the coffin, his hand, he feels some pain in his hand. And that is because of the fact that the lid of the coffin is full with thumbtacks. So after that, he throws Darby onto the guardrail. He hits the skateboard on Darby, and then, you know, Sting is in a crowd wearing a Sting mask, which is hilarious, and he attacks Mark Quinn. He fights off the AFO in the crowd. Andrade and Darby are also in the crowd. Andrade then picks up Darby, and then he escapes and sends Darby to the steel steps. Then Sting fights off Mark Quinn. Quinn is in the bleachers onto the crowd. He hits a chair on Sting, but what happens after Sting gets hit with the chair? He does what Sting always does, and Sting no-sells it. So Sting goes to the top, and this dude, man, at 60-something years old, hits a freaking crossbody, which was amazing. He hits a crossbody once we're back from break. Darby then hits Andrade with the chair. Then Darby, out of nowhere, hits the code red. Then Darby goes to the top. He tries to go for the coffin drop on the outside, but then Andrade hits a German suplex on Darby on to the floor. We get a slap by Andrade, and then the lid of the thumbtacks are, you know, are filled with thumbtacks. Andrade then picks up Darby. He hits a suplex. Then Andrade tries to hit a suplex onto the steel grate on the stage, and then he actually proceeds and succeeds to hit that suplex, and that looked absolutely painful, man. I always made this comparison. Darby Allin is really similar to guys like Sabu, and I stand by that statement because both guys are similar mainly because of the fact that they don't give a single shit on what happens to their body. I mean, look at Sabu. I mean, this guy had scars, and he still has scars all over his body, and the guy does not care. Like, this guy would be wrestling freaking barbed wire matches with, like, guys like Terry Funk and shit. But, like, I mean, again, like, Darby Allin, in my opinion, is like a modern version of Sabu. Like, this guy's insane. This guy don't care about the pain that he takes. But after Darby gets suplexed onto the steel grate, then after that, Darby gets dragged down the stage and sent to the steel steps. And then he drops Darby onto the apron face first. Andrade then picks up Darby again. Darby then fights back with a couple of elbows, but then Darby escapes. Andrade then gets sent to the outside. Darby then goes for an elbow suicida. Both land in the coffin. Darby then tries to close the lid, but what happens? Jose comes in, which is like the quote-unquote attorney. But then Jose then gets backdropped onto the thumbtacks, and then he slams the lid on Andrade, and Darby Allin wins the match. Both Sting and Darby celebrate. Of course, then the Hardys come out, and then they celebrate. Overall, this was a great closing match for Dynamite, and one of the things I always enjoy about AEW Dynamite is, like, for most weeks, not all weeks, for most weeks, they always tend to give you a pay-per-view-like show. And the show is really important, and that's what I really love what AEW does. Not to say sometimes WWE doesn't do that, but let's be honest, for the majority of WWE, whenever they do their weekly shows, it's mostly, like, the same old shit with, like, rematches. AEW, in my opinion, tries really hard not to give you constant repetitive stuff every single week. But overall, man, I thought this was a really good show. Of course, we had that major announcement with the New Japan show. Again, even if I do not watch New Japan, this is still a big deal for the wrestling industry itself. And 100%, I will be coming to you guys this June with a AEW Cross New Japan Forbidden Door pay-per-view review, because I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on that as well. But overall, man, I thought Dynamite was a great show. Definitely, I had a blast watching the show. The matches that were on the show were great. Honestly, I'm excited for CM Punk versus Hangman Page, most likely happening at Double or Nothing. It's going to be a great show. Great show overall, and definitely the future is bright when it comes to AEW. But that is my AEW Dynamite review. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications, and be on the lookout for more videos right here on the Broken Havoc podcast, right here on YouTube and other audio formats. But as always, it is Broken Havoc signing out.